Okay, for 50, it wants us to graph a couple points. So I will do my best on this tablet, right? It's not going to be as good as you. Whenever you graph, you should always be using graph paper, right? Okay. So -3, 4, -1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is a point, and then 1, 1, 1, 1 is right there. And it says if you drew a line through the points. So I will draw a line through those points, right? Okay. Now it says name 3 other points that you could find on this line, right? Now, on graph paper, you would be able to see where points line up. Now, if you can't, then you're going to be forced, and this is pretty early on in the course, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. We could actually find the equation of the line. Now, at this point in the textbook, they're assuming that on graph paper, you're just going to look for nice points that go through integer values for the x and y coordinates. But let's find the equation of this line. So first things first, I can find the slope. The slope is how steep this line is. And the equation for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So we substitute in, right? And I get 1 minus 4, right? 1 minus 4, I labeled those points, over 1 minus -3, right? So the slope comes out to be 1 minus 4 is -3. 1 minus negative, that's plus. 1 plus 3 is 4. So the slope is -3/4. Now the equation of a line in slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Now the slope, I already know, is -3/4 x plus b, right? Okay. The m denotes the slope, right? Okay. Now, I don't know the b. The b is this unknown, but I do know an x and a y. Actually, I know 2 of them. I know a -3/4, that's an x and a y, and 1, 1 is an x and y. I could choose either one of those and substitute in and then find b. So I'm going to choose 1, 1. So x is 1, y is 1, right? So I'm going to put a 1 in for y, -3/4, and a 1 in for x, and I'm going to solve for b. So I get 1 equals -3/4 plus b. I'll add 3/4 to both sides. And I have just 1 3/4 equals b. So now I know values, right? Or I know b. So I can take the b, this b value. I can take this m value, and I can put it into this form, right? And I'll do that right here. And I get y equals mx plus b. Okay, y equals m is -3/4. And b is 1 3/4. I should have written 1 3/4. All right, 1 3/4. 1 3/4. Okay, so now I can just put values in, right? I can put values in for x and y. So I can make a little table, right? And I can put a 0 in for x, right, over here, and I get y equals -3/4 times 0 plus 1 3/4. So that's 1 3/4. There's a point, right? I could put any values in. I could put, let's put a 4 in because that cancels out pretty nicely, right? So I would get y equals -3/4 times 4 plus 1 3/4. So -3/4 times 4, that cancels. So it's -3 plus 1 3/4. -3 plus 1 3/4 is -1 1/4, right? -1 1/4. And I could just keep going through and putting points in here. However, at this point, the only reason I'm showing you this is because I know there's students who are ahead and they're advanced. At this point, though, if you graph this on graph paper, all they want you to do is look for points where it goes through nice intersections on your graph paper. So one of them is going to be here, right, at negative 7, 7, right? One of them is going to be out here at 5, right? 5, negative 2, right? One's going to be out there at 5, negative 2. And then one is even going to be further here at 9, negative 5, right? Out here, right? So again, at this point in your math career in algebra, you graph it on graph paper, you look for where it goes through the nice grid marks. However, I wanted to show you how algebraically you're going to be able to do this in the future.